House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy sending shockwaves across Capitol Hill with his decision today to drop out of the race for Speaker of the House. Plenty going on behind the scenes leading up to this huge development. A lot of it related to the hardline conservative Freedom Caucus. Tony Sayegh, Republican strategist, and Bernard Whitman, former Bill Clinton pollster and CEO of Whitman Insight Strategies, are here now to debate this. Great to have you on The Real Story, guys. Tony, let me start with you.
Hey, Gretchen.
Do you consider this a good thing, or do you consider it chaotic for the Republican Party?
Well, it's definitely a shock, Gretchen. And no one who was watching this race would have imagined that at the 11th hour, Kevin McCarthy, who by all accounts had the votes to be the next speaker, would, like John Boehner, voluntarily surrender power. I think he deserves credit for that, certainly. But there is an opportunity, no doubt. You know, there was this feeling after John Boehner made his announcement, which really wasn't all that surprising. He had said he was probably going to do it at some point soon enough, that there could have been a real sea change within the Congress, certainly within the party leadership. Kevin McCarthy didn't exactly represent that sea change. Now, he's likable, he works well within the caucus in all factions, but now the party has a real opportunity to allow all the sides, that rich diversity we have in our caucus, be represented and reflective in who we elect as the new speaker. If
you can find that one person, right, Bernard?
Well, you have all-out war in the Republican Party right now, and it's being perpetrated largely by a very small group of congressmen and women, the Freedom Caucus, 42 of them, less than 10% of the total elected members of the House of Representatives. And what do they want to do? They're waging war so they can ultimately shut down the government, default on our debt, and hold the country hostage. And the thing that is so shocking about this is the Republican Party controls the majority of the House, the majority of the Senate, the majority of state legislatures, the majority of governorships, yet they can't get together to choose a leader. And I think you see this also playing out in the presidential race, where you have the establishment candidates withering, you have the Tea Party zealots withering in the face of outsiders who the Republican primary electorate are clamoring for.
But Tony, is that really a bad thing?
It's not at all, Gretchen. In fact, Bernard made a point that I think shows the richness of our party, which is we are the Big Tent. Look, the modern Democratic Party is the party of basically Michael Dukakis and socialist progressives. 100 of the 187 Democratic members of Congress signed letters pledging to the progressive agenda. The reason the Democrats don't have the same problems we do is because they've all already given in to the much more radical left, whereas in the Republican caucus, you do have a diversity, without a doubt, one that has to be managed. It's certainly uncomfortable right now. I'm not going to pretend that this is an ideal situation. But again, from this comes opportunity, and I think you are going to see the party coalesce. Now, whether it's Paul Ryan, who many hope does it, or Trey Gowdy,
tons of names.
Maybe even for once an outsider. You know,
Daniel Webster, who the Freedom Caucus wants, Kathy McMorris-Rodgers, who's the highest-ranking female. She's fourth highest-ranking Republican right now. Jason Chaffetz. I mean, there's lots of names being thrown out there, and who knows if it would be any of them. I want to direct your attention, though, to this letter that another member of Congress, Representative Walter Jones, Republican of North Carolina, he wrote this yesterday. Here's part of it. With all of the voter distrust of Washington felt around the country, I'm asking that any candidate for Speaker of the House, Majority Leader, and Majority Whip withdraw himself from the leadership election if there are any misdeeds he has committed since joining Congress that will embarrass himself, the Republican Conference, and the House of Representatives if they become public. Bernard and Tony, why would he write this letter? Is there something that we're all missing here, or does he just want to make sure that the Livingston situation doesn't happen again? Bernard, you first.
I would certainly hope not. And, you know, I looked at what Mark Sanford had to say, who had his own problems. And he said, you know, compared to the transfer of power from Gingrich to Livingston to Denny Hastert, this is 10 times more confusing, 10 times more chaotic. And so I think for the good of the country and the good of, frankly, the Republican Party, I would certainly hope that that letter was nothing more than someone trying to potentially vent frustration and not actually pointing to anything that's actually going to come down the pike.
Tony?
Walter Jones is a known antagonist of the establishment. He is one of John Boehner's biggest critics. He's kind of a lone kind of maverick down there, and I think anything he suggests is really just his own opinion. Look, obviously we all want to elect the most effective, the most ethical, and basically the kind of leader who could bring us forward and move us forward. The opportunity that came out of this, while unfortunate for Kevin McCarthy, is I do think the Republican Party has a chance to really shake up the leadership and help move a much more favorable agenda forward than we've had clearly for the last 6 years of fighting a White House that's usurped congressional power, that's raised taxes, and done things that are not in the interest of the American people.
A lot of fingers to be pointed around. Got to wrap it there, but a great discussion. Tony and Bernard, thank you.
Thank you.